Stanilchenko's out there, yep.
Bell, Armstrong, Pike, Pickett is 28.
Yep.
Yeah, got you, Glenn. Yeah, I got it. 42 is Tom Carr. Tom Carr.
25.
25 is Scott Matthews.
No, he's 23.
No, he's 23.
23 is 23 is Scott Matthews, yep. Burgoyne is 26. Peter Burgoyne is 26. And Donald Dickey is 19. He was 37.
Right.
He's 19.
And
25.
25 is Nathan Eggleton, the boy from West Adelaide.
That's it, yeah.
And 34 is Nathan Steinberger from Central.
As distinct from Steinlager.
Yes, now Port are playing 27. North Melbourne are playing 28.
Who did you say 25 was?
25
Nathan
is
Eggleton.
Nathan Eagleton from West Adelaide.
Oh, yeah.
He's been all right, a couple of games. Done some good things.
You got those number changes?
Yep.
Hey Rick.
You said 19 and 26 was Burgoyne.
Peter Burgoyne,
Peter Burgoyne.
26.
The number changes there too. Burgoyne was 19, he's now 26.
Donald Dickey's 19.
And Donald Dickey was 37, he's now 19. You got the new ones? 4 of them. Yep. Yep.
37 Simpson.
Yep. Tom Carr, 42. You owe me one.
So we just come back, introduce you blokes. The umpires, coin toss. We've still got a couple of seconds. Robbo, I just asked you if you're surprised the number of premiership players North have pulled out.
What would the crowd be, Bruce?
17, 20? 20? 18, 20?
Big gaps, mate. I'd say 15. Okay.
Who won it? And they're going which way? Glenn?
Soon find out.
To left of screen.
Left off screen. For those of you listening on the radio, that's that way. Umpires.
Michael Avon, Richard Williams and Troy Burton.
20.
What numbers are they?
26, 34 and 36. Bell, King.
Expect a fiery opening. Both sides were really pumped up.
Roberts, Blakey, Pickett.
Welcome back to Football Park, and joining me in the commentary box, Ian Robertson, all the way from Victoria. Robbo, welcome to Football Park.
Yeah, good on you, Bruce. Looking forward to this. Just an early chance to have a look at the Port Power boys. North Melbourne, of course. Everyone's got to play practice matches, and I think both sides will know that they've had a real good game of football under oppressive conditions.
And alongside him, Matt Campbell. Matty, welcome to it.
Thanks, Bruce, and great to see the North Adelaide side playing most of their premiership side.
Yeah, Matt, we've just seen the toss of the coin. North Melbourne have won it. They're going to head to the left of screen to the northern end. A slight breeze there. The umpires tonight, Michael Avon, Richard Williams and Troy Burton. So those boys will be looking for a good hit out as well. So we're just about to get started. Robbo, you surprised so many of the premiership team are here?
Well, I think everybody would be, but as I said just a moment ago, Bruce, they've got to play practice matches, so they've got to get into it. And we start right here. Primus up high, but McKernan takes the ball away and kicks it to centre half forward. An awkward bounce. Trying to gather that ball as Allison. Tackled very well by Huskus. The ball hits the ground. Chance for Francis. Kick over the top of his shoulder back towards the middle of the ground. Archer's first to recover. Ball bounces kindly for him. He's well tackled there by Treadray. The handball wide. Oh, tackled hard. Didn't have the ball, I didn't think. Brown for Port Power, but the umpire decides on a bounce not far away from the centre circle.
Yes, typical opening there. Both sides going in very fiercely. It's going to be a very good contest for Port Adelaide after a terrific win against Richmond last week. There's the bounce down. He knocks it forward. Going out there to meet it there was that player in Carter. Handball there by Burgoyne. Huskus now, chance to clear for the Power up towards centre half forward. Going up for the ball there for Port was Treadray. Can't mark. Good tackle there by Treadray. Crowd calls for holding the ball, but umpire says no. And there'll be another bounce down.
Interesting thing, Scott Hodges not lining at full forward. Darryl Poole, a bit aggressive last week, caught the Richmond guys by surprise. He's at full forward at the moment.
The bounce between centre and centre half forward. The hand pass attempted by Burgoyne. The ball spills down towards North Melbourne's end of the ground. Hand pass by Armstrong. McKernan left foot just threw it on his boot to full forward. Good mark, Craig Scholl. Number 17 for Port Adelaide is Nigel Fegert. But Scholl at the back judged it a little better, and he'll shoot for goal from about 20 metres out.
Yeah, Nigel Fegert, Port Magpie boy, got his chance here through the AFL. Has a very good game last week, and he doesn't mind mixing it, so he should look forward.
Well, the ground in excellent condition. Craig Scholl has kicked the first goal for North Melbourne. So the Kangaroos off to a pretty good start in their practice match against Port Power here at Football Park.
You'll see Nigel just pushed out there underneath. A little bit of experience perhaps there, Robbo. The AFL, unfortunately, a little bit more physical. I'm sure Nigel will pick up the speed pretty quickly.
Well, that's going to be something that a few of the Port Power boys will notice, I'm sure, is the tempo. They've got a few guys that have played AFL footy, so just a few more matches at this standard.
Back in the centre, Primus wins the tap. Quick kick off the ground by Matty Armstrong sends North Melbourne into attack again. Huskus comes out to meet it first. Allison cleverly controls it. Beautiful little give over to Bell, but he's well tackled by Carter. Ball spills free. Chance for the Power to come away through Wilson to Lyle. Lyle under pressure, quickly gets the handball away. Huskus, who loves to run and loves to back up his teammates, often runs too far and has done so again. Was caught last week doing this a couple of times, Robbo. Loves to run, but forgets to bounce it.
Well, I guess that he's trying to set something up, and that must be a bit of an instruction, but I thought the umpire was a bit tough on him then.
Kick goes in forward, coming out to meet it. Good sprawl there. Here's a chance for Rock. Rock on the 50-metre line. A little chip pass going in ahead, and should have been marked by Brett Allison. Brown comes in to lend support for Port, kicks out towards centre wing. Bell goes up, can't mark. Ball comes down to Armstrong. He has a running play there, and King goes towards goal. And again, the mark taken, this time by the former Fitzroy player in Martin Pike, and great to see Pike getting another chance at the AFL after the demise of Fitzroy.
Does that pick up surprise you, Robbo, that North Melbourne Premiership team should take a bit of a risk on that?
I think he's a very good player, Martin Pike, but he's just a little bit wayward off the ground, and if North can keep him on the rails, I'm sure he'll be a tremendous acquisition for the Kangaroos. He's kicked a goal.
I think he just snuck that in too, Robbo. That
wayward. It was quite emphatic. It's quite emphatic, that kick at goal, but it must have got through by the barest margin.
You see it go forward here, and it's just a little bit of experience just at the back. Probably not the right place to play for a forward, but in this situation, Matt, he was lucky it came over.
Yes, it was. Daniels trying to play in front there, but Pike gets their second goal. North Melbourne now lead to 2 straight kicks. Port yet to score. The ball is back in the middle. Umpire there is Williams, who bounced the ball. Again, it'll be Primus against McKernan. Primus, one of the most, I guess, well, it's actually Capuano, and Primus with some experience and is their deputy vice-captain for Port this year. Kick off the ground towards Brown. Brown, quick handball. Out there player is Donald Dickey. Robbo is going to turn into a cult figure, I feel, for the Power.
Good
off
luck
the
to
ground, coming up forward, but marking in defence there is King.
I think that's what footy's about, Matthew. You know, just the colour has been increasing every year, and it's great to see. Schwass for North Melbourne kicks along the wing. Carey, who looks absolutely sensational physically, hasn't really got into it just yet. Anthony Rock taking the ball over, but Carey looks terrific. Set for another fantastic season, I'm sure, leading the Kangaroos in their quest for back-to-back premierships. McKernan, such a vital player for North Melbourne. Swings around onto his right foot, kicks into the gap at half forward. Pike is the leading player, can't control it. Dickey, hand pass away there for Port Power by Franco. Now the ball out wide, leading in the race is Laidley. Number 12 for Port Power is Heaver. And Laidley able to kick the ball down the ground for Pike to mark. He's wide at right half forward. Pretty good crowd here for this practice match at Football Park. So football fans in Adelaide very keen to see how the Port Power manage the opposition, which is quality opposition tonight in this match.
And there'll be a bounce down inside the 50-metre arc there. That was Stephen Carter, halfback flanker for Port. Very impressive last week. Him and Wilson combined beautifully in the back line for Port. And Carter's been wanting this opportunity to play AFL for quite a few years now. Primus taps it down to Brown. We might hear that a fair bit this year. Dribble kick up towards the 50-metre line. Allison in there, also is Pike. He's well tackled by Adam Huskus. But the umpire has said it's held 2 in once again. And there'll be another ball up.
Was good to see a couple of the Port Magpie boys last week. As you said, they looked very good. Also, Steve Daniels, he looked very good last week, the former Norwood boy.
Yeah, the defence combined beautifully, I thought, last week, and it was very surprising, having been together not for very long.
I think their work might be cut out a little bit more tonight, though.
Well, plenty of work in defence tonight, I think.
So the umpire deciding on a bounce. The play about 45 metres from North Melbourne's goal. The Kangaroos have kicked 2. Port yet to register a score. The umpire's found a free kick out of this. And the crowd not really happy, but it's Anthony Rock kicking towards full forward. Scholl, well left there by Carey, and Scholl has judged it again better than the opposition and has marked about 35 metres out directly in front.
You see Wayne Carey there. He's just got his body, and the Port defenders more worried about him. Suddenly leaves someone free, and they take an easy mark in front.
Yes, Mead, with the big job on Carey, would have been very wary of him there. And, you know, thinking just, I've got to stop Carey, I've got to stop Carey, and that just allowed Scholl to come through for another mark.
Well, Craig Scholl has been a very good forward for the Kangaroos. He played a lot in defence, but he's kicked his second goal of the game. Craig Scholl with 2 goals and Martin Pike with 1. The Kangaroos lead by 18 points early in this practice match between North Melbourne and Port Power.
We see it here again, and Darren Mead, well, perhaps he just went backwards instead of forwards to where the ball was going to come. Perhaps just bluffed a little by Wayne Carey.
Ball back towards the centre. But Craig Scholl, what a terrific player he is for North Melbourne. 3 straight North Melbourne. Port yet to get on the board, but I have a feeling it won't be long. This time Primus against McKernan. McKernan goes too early. Ball comes down. There's a chance there with Paces Armstrong, but cleverly done was the big man Primus. Primus decides to do it all himself. Kicks up forward, but dropping back and taking the mark. And a great return to football. Great to see him back, John Longmire. Longmire in defence, centre half back tonight instead of his customary full forward. Out to the centre wing. Adrian Rock marks unintended. Gives off to Wayne Schwass. Schwass runs into the centre of the ground, looking for options up forward. Kicks up towards the 50-metre line, and taking the mark in front is Brett Allison. And already, Robbo, they look very strong overhead up forward.
They look very sharp, North. I mean, it's very early in the season, but they look terrific. The kick to the half-forward area, and Carey. I think what you mentioned, Matthew, that they've got Pike and Scholl, Carey. They are too tall, and they've still got the crummers in Anthony Stevens and Allison, Rock, etc., to pick up the crumbs.
We saw the mark there, Robbo, and really Wayne Carey just pushed Darren Mead underneath it. Just a little bit too much experience. Interesting thing, John Carr was saying, plenty of blokes wanted to have a go at Wayne Carey tonight, wanted to have a shot at him, so that's confidence.
Gee, you might as well start at the top.
Well, that's right.
He is one of the best players in the AFL, no doubt about that. He kicks for goal, and I think he's missed. His body language suggests that. So, Carey, from about 35 metres, misses. Not all that much breeze blowing, so no real excuse. North Melbourne interchange. There's, 3, 6, about 9 of them.
Yes, I'm sure they'll make a bit of a change at half-time. We'll see almost a different side as Daniels kicks in, finds Carter, who's loose in the pocket. North have given up that option with a closed zone. Daniels runs on, but no fluency there. They couldn't really they haven't come far. They're not outside the 50 yet. Stephen Daniels from the Norwood Football Club kicks towards the centre wing. Lyle is there, the acting captain tonight, but along comes King Carey and just pops it out of bounds. No, umpire says that's yours, Braden. Free kick. Braden Lyle, former West Coast player, and is, as I said, captaining the side this evening in Gavin Wanganeen's absence. He decides to chip short over to Michael Wilson. Wilson, who played magnificently in the grand final for Port last year. Up towards Poole. Coming across was Anderson. Good spoil. But reading it well is Huskus. Huskus now goes up forward. Here's their first chance, and it's Redgrave. Well, this is a very exciting young boy.
Yeah, I think I saw him play, must have been in the Teal Cup, would it have been?
He's only about 18 years old,
yeah.
but played the grand final last year in the SANFL, played very well. He can jump. The stats show him he's only 185 centimetres, but I think he's still growing. He's got to be around the 6'3", 6'4" mark, which is a little bit around the 190 centimetres. A good kick, a good catch.
He's very, very good overhead. Treadray now chance to put the Power's first goal on the board. Unfortunately, he's hooked it. And so they first score for the evening for Port. They now go to 1 point, trailing North Melbourne 3-1. They've played almost 11 minutes. But a very exciting young player, Treadray, and I think will be used extensively by Jack Carl this year, perhaps at both ends of the ground, even as a switch hitter.
I think Jack might have just put a little bit of pressure on the young lad tonight, putting him at full forward there.
Archer to kick in the direction of Capuano. Gee, they are taking a lot of marks. Very well done there. Schwass tackled, but the ball spills for Laidley. Laidley's kick is an awkward one. Bounces in front of McKernan. He's strong at the football, though. Goes after it again. His opposition there was Carter. Carter tries to get it out to Dickey. Knocked away by Anderson. Not far enough. Terrific stuff again by Carter. Gets the ball forward. Chance now for the Port Power. They had the numbers there. Lyle was in there in support and gets the ball down to half forward. Punched away by North Melbourne's half back line. Hand pass by Burgoyne. Kick forward by Heaver. Into a vacant area at centre half forward. Back there is Longmire. Hand pass to Archer, in turn to Schwass, and North Melbourne are away. Schwass's kick, very, very ordinary kick. And I thought that was in the act of kicking that the Port Power player crunched him to the ground. The umpire sees that as an infringement, and it will go to Wayne Schwass between left back pocket and left half back.
Might have been a bit of experience there, Robbo, just falling over just enough.
Wayne Schwass, such an integral part of this North Melbourne Premiership team. Best and fairest winner at North Melbourne. Holds it up, waiting for some options. Primus has dropped back for the Power. He's going to be the man that gets there. Coming through is Carey. In there is Brewer, the former Geelong player. Brewer, quick hands. Poole didn't see it coming. Here's a chance now for little Bell. Bell gives it back there to King. King in towards the centre of the ground. North Melbourne have some numbers here. It's Anderson. Anderson will go long and direct towards the goal front. Coming out to meet it was Pike. Tries to recover his own ball. Ball on the ground. Daniels gets a free kick for too high. Umpire says play on. Fegert, Nigel Fegert, now run it out. Port have the numbers again. Donald Dickey, out again there to Fegert, who's run on beautifully. Takes a bounce, there's plenty of time. He's getting told by his teammates, keep going. He does. Fegert's on the wing now. He's run 100 metres almost. Kicks it inside the 50. Here's a chance. Going out, Treadray once more. Terrific work by the Power, all the way. And Nigel Fegert, that is sensational stuff from the fullback line.
And good to see the other defenders run over to congratulate him, say well done on the way back. That's Treadray again. We've already spoken about him, and you just saw another example of a young lad. He's got the jump, he's got the hands.
Well, Warren Treadray, a chance to atone from his earlier miss. He deserves it after a brilliant passage of play by the Power. Here's the kick. And the crowd tells the story as usual. Unfortunately, he's missed to the right, and their first goal is still forthcoming.
He's Matty, he struggled to kick 35 metres, just seemed to just get underneath it a little bit too much.
Perhaps a touch of nerves.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing too, Matthew. This is Anthony Stevens with the football, and he's got a player on his own right on the 50-metre defensive line. That's David King. King, who's been a bit of a revelation for the Kangaroos since crossing from Port Melbourne. Wide kick. Armstrong's been terrific with his hands. He's had about 5 hand passes to set up play for the Kangaroos. Schwass has kicked to full forward. Pike is there, but he's outnumbered, and just knocking it across the line there for Port Adelaide was Wilson.
Yes, that's right.
And Roberts preparing to come on to give Capuano a bit of a rest. It is a very, very warm, humid evening here in Adelaide. So both teams have gone in with plenty of interchange players. There's a free kick being picked out of the ruck. Primus is the receiver, and he gets it across now to Mead. Mead, his kick in towards the centre is fairly ordinarily directed because it lands right with McKernan to Martin. Martin's kicked down the ground. Marking contest at half forward. The ball spills to the back. Primus just driving very, very hard. Gets it to Wilson. Wilson evades Pike. Then gives us a lovely little hand pass through to Fegert. Fegert to Huskis. And Huskis kicks in towards the centre. Not really to the advantage of his team. Through goes Scott for North Melbourne. He's kicked towards full forward. Is that a free kick? The umpire allows play to go on. Right on the goal line. It's taken away from Port Power by Daniels. Gets the handball to Fegat. Fegat's short pass is all right, and he finds Brown.
Brown, former Adelaide Crow, an integral part of the Port Power side already in the few practice games they've had, finds Carter. Stephen Carter, centre wing. Kicks towards the true centre-half forward position. Coming out was Paul, met heavily, but good attack on the ball. Port feel as though there's an opportunity, working hard in there as Bond. He can't get the ball clear, and there'll be another ball up.
See Daryl Paul there, he does like to hit the ball, hit the body very hard, and that's the way he plays. I think he might provide a little bit of a surprise to a couple of Melbourne teams when they meet him this year.
Yes, very aggressive, unfortunately, last year, missing out on the grand final, but now has his chance in the AFL. As the bounce down comes, it comes clear towards Lyle. Lyle with a chance now, kicks up towards the lead of Treadray. He's taken 2 marks already. Is this number 3? No, just can't take it. Longmire will clear for North Melbourne. Umpire's paid a free kick, decides to play it on. Longmire goes long, up towards Carey country. Blakey was in front, ball comes down to ground. Mead there for Port, also was Adam Huskus. Huskus picks up, he's under pressure from Blakey. Well done, John Blakey. But Huskus, lovely piece of work there. Martin Ailey style, gives up towards Bond. Bond towards Carter, the running half-back, but it's a smother there by Wayne Schloss. Perhaps Carter a little bit could have gone inside, do you think there, Robbo?
Yeah, well, I think when the players get the tempo, Matthew, that they do that. You know, they go for the kick, hold the ball, balk the player coming to do the smother. But on that occasion, he just went on with the natural thing that he's probably been used to doing.
Absolutely. Roberts gets a quick kick out of the pack. McKernan is going back. McKernan does well. Good, strong attack on the ball. Here's a chance going forward now as North Melbourne. Scholl can't mark, goes over the back. Trying to clean it up there for Port Adelaide was Daniels. And very lucky to just run that over the boundary just in time.
Now, Port Adelaide defence looking very good. They're running out of there, but they seem to run to the centre line. There's nothing offered up forward at the moment, so they're running into a brick wall there.
Well, a true centre-half forward is very rare to find these days, and North Melbourne have the luxury of a carry. Not many other sides do, and Power also one of those teams. Michael Wilson, I'm very impressed with this player. I've watched him play all last year. I think he's terrific. He'll certainly make his mark in the AFL very quickly. Roberts against Primus. Primus, the taller of the two, down to Brown. Quick little kick by Brown, just finding touch, just relieving the pressure just that little bit, and there'll be another ball in.
It's great to see a number of the SANFL, the local players, get their shot at the AFL. They stayed 1 year. You talked about Michael Wilson, Brendan Lade, we'll see him later on. They will make an impression in the AFL, and they just waited that 1 year so they could play at Port.
Certainly. As Primus wins the tap down to Franco. Franco on the left boot, around the corner. Huskus, who always seems to be running and never seems to be at centre-half back. Here's a chance for North now. Quick kick up in the air. Goes up there towards full forward. Pike knocks it down in front. Well done, Daniels. Terrific play, Stephen Daniels. Kicks it back to where it came, and the mark is taken by Huskus. Racking up possessions already. Huskus drives it long up towards centre-half forward, looking for Poole. Martin is there, and floating across, one of the best marks in the AFL, Glenn Archer. Archer chips it into the centre, finds Anderson. Anderson, cool, calm and collected customer. Reminds me a lot of Wayne Carey when is the way he looks. Kicks it up forward, dropping back there was Fegat. Perhaps should have marked that. Ball comes to ground. Pike can't gain clear possession, and another ball up will result.
You know, the other thing that Port Power are going to get is just playing against quality opposition, playing at a tempo, then they get confidence. When they know that they can play at this level. And I think a few of them perhaps still have that little bit of self-doubt.
I was just going to say, Robbo, the first couple of minutes they seem to be in awe, but they picked it up in the last 5-10 minutes.
And it just could be the difference between having a couple of goals on the scoreboard, whereas at this stage they've kicked just 2 behinds. Warren Treadray, the key forward, has had 2 shots at goal. Unfortunately for Port Power, he's missed on both occasions. The umpire will bounce about 45 metres from the North Melbourne goal. Knocked down by Primus. Coming across there was Franco. His kick is high. In front there was Poole. It's punched away. Down in front where the crummers should be is Anthony Rott. He's kicking towards full forward. Punched away by Mead from McKernan. And he gets a pat of, well, acclamation from his big ruckman.
It is pretty hard for the Port defence. They've got McKernan who's 6'7", you've got Carey who's 6'4". Unfortunately, there weren't too many tall defenders going around before.
And make things worse, Darren Crocker's just come onto the field and has gone to a forward pocket, so there's another one they have to contend with. But Brown is contending with at the moment, who gives it up to Huskus. Huskus with a little chip pass finds Donald Dickey. Donald Dickey, very clever player, to Josh Franco, the 1996 Magarey medalist. Kicks it up towards Martin is there for Port, but Poole, good strong attack on the body again. Burgoyne there for Port. Here there is Damien Squire. Quick hands to Dickey. Dickey, kick, little chip pass, saw Bond out the corner of his eye. Schwartz came across well to spoil. Martin in there to lend support with Robert Scott. Tackle there by Bond is almost successful, but the ball has run over the boundary line as the Port Power fans let the umpire know what they thought of that.
You know, there, Matty, Darryl Poole, he was that keen, he ended up tackling his own player.
I think we should see more of that in football. But Darryl Poole, although he's not getting many possessions, Bruce, certainly providing the contest, which is half the battle from a centre forward's point of view.
Well, John Cale in picture, the Port Power coach, is one of the players having to leave the ground through the blood rule.
Josh Franco.
So a little bit of a hold-up in play, but you would have to think that Johnny Cale would be reasonably satisfied. I mean, North looked as though they might have been a 6 or 7 goal first quarter team in the first 5 or 6 minutes. And at this stage, it's 3-1 to 2 points.
Really, Robbo, all John could hope for is, as he said, a tight, hard game. And perhaps he can see the player, just how they measure up against the best. And not doing too badly at the moment.
So boundary throw in. Poole up against Roberts. The ball comes to King. His hand pass for Laidley. Laidley goes back towards the boundary line. And his kick lands on the chest of Heaver. Heaver on centre wing for the Port Power. Crowd just building up a little bit more since the start of play. Start of the game at 7:30, and on an evening like this, I guess there'll be a few people that'll be still prepared to come a little bit later than normal. Punched away from full forward by Longmire. This is Poole, the rugged, strong centre half forward. Puts his teammate under pressure. Taken away by Roberts for North Melbourne. The kick is very good. Finds Armstrong about his 7th hand pass. Hasn't kicked it yet. Stevens down towards half forward. Carey makes a contest. The ball hits the ground. Eustace does well, pretty well under pressure. The ball out wide to centre wing. Chance here now for Port Power to kick forward. The kick coming there from Feagit. Kicks it towards the right forward pocket. Archer overruns it, but he's got time to recover. Laidley, hand passes basically over the line for safety, and it was reasonably well smothered. The umpire calls for a boundary throw in about 25-30 metres around from the Port Power goal.
Disappointing kick there from Nigel Feagit. Probably should have headed for the goal square somewhere there.
Chance for the Power inside their 50. Boundary throw in. Roberts is there for North. Ball comes out towards Heaver. He can't pick it up. In there working, giving the handball off to Anderson. Anderson kicked towards centre wing. Coming out in front of Carey this time is Mead. Taps it out in front of him. Playing for time and playing for the boundary. And well done there by Mead. And the last 2 contests between those 2 metres stopped Carey and kicked the ball ahead of him. And that'll give him a little bit of a confidence as Archer comes off for North Melbourne. Boundary throw in, centre wing. Primus, clever tap there down towards Lyle. Stealing it off him though was Armstrong. Stealing it off him there is a new player on there, and Adam Kingsley. Kingsley up towards the half-forward flank. Brewer there for Port. It takes a very, very clever mark. Haven't seen much of him so far, and he's going to play an important role for the side this year. He's been ruck-roving in the practice games. Up again towards Treadray with a beautiful spoil there. And a lovely spoil there by John Longmire.
I think Treadray's making the most of his leading. He's caught a couple, but he isn't a guy. How about John Longmire? He knows everything that full forwards should do. So a fullback suddenly up against a young fella. He's got the experience.
I think that's pleasing for North Melbourne supporters, just to see him back on the ground, Bruce. Johnny Longmire's had a terrible run for a couple of years. He just had to go under the surgeon's knife at least twice, to my knowledge, and I think it's terrific to see him back on the ground. Ian Fairley, one of their great servants, has retired over the summer. So Longmire just an automatic selection. Now the umpire's blown his whistle here to give a free kick. I think he looked to see if it was going to be an advantage for Port Power. It wasn't. So he's asked for the football to come back now to Poole. And Poole will shoot for goal from about 50 metres. You would have to think that a player of AFL standard should be able to kick the distance from here.
Yeah, he's going to kick a very slight right to left wind for him, but he's going to kick from around 52 metres.
He's a very good kick for goal.
Well, he's going to lob it up in front of the goals, hoping for one of the big men to take the mark. The ball spills to the back. Treadray, snapshot! Missed again. 3 behinds to Warren Treadray. And the siren sounds. So it's quarter time in this practice match between Port Power and North Melbourne. And North Melbourne lead 3-1-19. Port Power have kicked 3 behinds. The goal kickers for North Melbourne, Craig Scholl has kicked 2. Martin Pike has kicked 1. Well,
I think that wasn't a bad start really for Jack. He'd be got off to to a great start, and they've really held them and came back and were doing most of the attacking there towards the second half of that first quarter.
Well, we mentioned Treadray, and really he could have had 2 goals on the board. The scoreline there, 3-1 to 3 points. It could have been a lot closer, but North Melbourne, 3 goals, won 19. Port Adelaide still just 3 points, so they're trailing by 16.
Has he?
Thanks. He's just not quite efficient enough passing the ball. He's not. He doesn't give it to anyone. Doesn't pinpoint, does he?
No, you'd love it to be a real damaging kick.
Yeah.
Every time.
Sorry, mate, I wasn't on listening. Okay. How many people you reckon, Matt?
Well, it did go up a bit, as Robbo said. There's been a few more coming, but it wouldn't be 20.
Just over there, it's sticking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Still a lot of gaps.
Between 15 and 20. I mean, there's not that many in the members. What they charge to get in? $10?
Yeah, around that. You'd have to be happy with the crowd, though.
That's a practice game.
Yeah. Curls, can you hear me?
Sure can, Bruce.
Okay, mate. They had a bit of a dip, didn't they, mate?
Yeah, they've settled. North were a bit slippery on the packs early.
They just remind me of when I was playing at Brisbane, all sides that are struggling. Sometimes you're taking our defence, it's almost kick it up the centre forward and hope. Like, can we just get it out of here for a while?
Well, I mean, it's only their second game together.
Oh, yeah.
And I've probably had three centre-half forwards last week. They probably threw a couple already now. Robbo, you're right to pick it up after Curls.
Yep.
When Curls comes back, because by then it should be the centre bounce.
Right,
Okay. Welcome back to Football Park. North Melbourne 3-1, Port Adelaide just 3 points, but they weren't too far away from those goals. Neil Curley's on the boundary quickly.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Franco, okay, no problem there. John Cale very concerned about North's speed around the packs, and Denis Pagan is treating this like an AFL game. Very serious.
Well, that's fair enough, Neil. I think there's a certain amount of pride at stake. I don't think that the 96 premiers would like to go down in a practice match first up anyway. And Port Power, well, they'd be reasonably satisfied with the 2/3 of that first quarter. Chance here for Franco. Gets onto his right foot and kicks it down inside 50 metres. From behind, Pike punches it away. Heaver couldn't take the ball. After it again there for Port Power was Burgoyne. Now Schwass for North Melbourne. Schwass at left half back, kicks it high, out towards the wing. It may have gone a little bit too far. No, punched away in the finish by Huskus, but safely over for a boundary throw-in.
Robbo, looks like Martin Pike hasn't bothered changing ends. I think he was full forward the first quarter, and he's back down the fence now for North Melbourne.
And I saw something there. It was the quickest interchange of a player from a quarter time I've ever seen. Bell came off and Harvey came on within 10 seconds of the quarter starting. So Pagan wasn't happy with his setup. As the ball now a chance for North to go forward, but in the road there is Mead. He can't get a clear kick. Roberts comes through. Roberts with a quick handball out over there to Armstrong. Armstrong on his wrong foot, but still cleverly gets it up towards full forward. And Danilchenko on the ground since quarter time. Comes out and takes a comfortable mark on his chest. Rumoured to be moving to another club during the off-season. Perhaps Adelaide were touted as picking him up, but finds himself in the North Melbourne Guernsey ones again.
Well, Greg Miller today has mentioned that he was a required player and North wanted him, so he's still in the blue and white.
Jason Danilchenko, the kick from about 48, 49. Just pushes it off to the left, and a minor will result. And so North Melbourne stretched their lead to 17 points here early in the second quarter here at Football Park. As we have a look at the Port bench there, with some of the assistant coaches, Greg Phillips and Jeff Morris back there. And of course, Mark Williams, the assistant coach, will be helping Jack up in the box as we speak.
See, Port Adelaide are playing 27 players, North Melbourne 28 tonight, so plenty of rest.
The kick in the direction of Lyle. He wasn't able to take the mark, so Carey able to mop up, kicks it back in towards the forward pocket area. Mark not taken by Scholl, picked up by Danilchenko. Dickey in a little bit of strife there. Scholl well tackled there by
Nigel Feegit there.
Feegit, was it? Yes.
He's done a lot of running down the ground so far.
Well, he'd be very pleased with the way he's going. He's finding himself involved and getting straight into it rather than waiting for the game to come to him. He's gone and got the game himself, so a good start for him. Boundary throw in, comes down quickly to McKernan, off hands, has a quick snapshot at goal. Danilchenko cleverly keeps it in with a quick handball there to the new player on the ground, and Harvey chips it across, and Adrian Rock will mark and will have a shot from about 10 metres out. And good work there by Jason Danilchenko to keep that ball in play from a tight angle. And little Rocky, a chance to kick North Melbourne's fourth goal.
I suppose you'd call that a good pass, Matt.
Oh, why not? I mean, it was his first kick for the day, Harvey. Why not?
Luck's a fortune, I think.
I think so, but it's a practice game. But anyway, Anthony Rock, sorry. From a tight angle, but not far out. And no problem for Anthony Rock. North Melbourne's fourth, 4-2, leading the Power 3 points.
Probably just wasn't what Jack Carl wanted, letting them get the first goal on the board. Port Adelaide really need a score here. This is where we see the ball kept in. Good hands here by North Melbourne.
Oh, a lovely pass.
Ah, you saw him out of the corner of his eye.
That player's got a future. He's got vision.
Matt Campbell would never pass that close to goal.
Never got a kick that close to goal.
North Melbourne lead 26-3 early in the second term. And the ruckman to go at it once again, McKernan and Primus. Ball spills for Lyle. Lyle off his right foot, kicks towards the 50-metre line. Well played there by Dickey. No, it was Burgoyne. Then the hand pass wider still. Under a bit of pressure, kicked off the ground by Brown, goes inside 50 metres. Martin leads in the race for the ball. He'll probably just quite satisfactorily take it over. He's been penalised for it going out on the full. I'm sure that boundary umpire signalled there that it came off his foot.
Well,
looked as though he just ran it over with his hands.
Yes, that is true, Robert. There is a free kick.
A little bit of heavy work behind the play there by Darryl Poole.
Damien Squire takes the kick. Left footer, natural left footer, right up towards the full forward line. Longmire spoils and off hands. Good work there by John Longmire. And a minor will result. So Port still yet to get their first major for the evening. Treadway's had a couple of opportunities, but unfortunately it's yet to result.
18 to 20,000 people in matches holding their breath for that first Port Adelaide goal.
And won't they just enjoy it? As the kick in comes, Primus is doing well. Primus now to the 50-metre line. Goes from Heaver to Franco with pace. Franco, it took too long. In there is Brewer, but Franco gets his own handball. Back to Lyle. Lyle in towards full forward. Is this their first goal? The crowd wanted it desperately, but unfortunately it's not. And another point will result. And the Magpies 5th. No, I said the Magpies. I shouldn't say that anymore. It's the Powers 5th.
A couple of hand passes in that passage of play indicate to me that the players are trying to do the right thing, you know. Not necessarily do you have to hand pass in some circumstances, but obviously they're trying to be team orientated at this early stage.
It'd be very easy to have a ping yourself just to try to score, but you're right.
So the kick in towards centre half back. Poole does well, then gets the hand pass away. Kick forward, and the mark has been taken by Franco. He's got a heavy bandage over his left eye. He left the ground towards the end of the first quarter through the blood rule. He's played reasonably well, actually, so far. High flyer Longmire couldn't take the mark. King. Don't know whether that was meant for Robert Scott, but he was on the end of it. His kick is ill-directed, and it's been marked out there by Shane Bond. Ex-West Coast Eagles in towards the forward pocket area, and it's punched away. North Melbourne fairly solid in defence. They haven't scored a lot of goals themselves, but they're making it very, very difficult for the Port Power to break through.
Port Adelaide just looking perhaps a little timid up forward rather than have his players do it themselves. They're just chipping the ball rather than going long, and could possibly have put it through the sticks.
Early days for the Power. Sure, something is not far around the corner. Boundary throw-in. Deep into the Power's territory. McKernan and Paul. Ball spills over the back. Lyle, the centreman, comes in to help. Can't get clear, and another ball up will result.
I think it's a good answer by Port. They've kept the ball up there probably the last 4 or 5 minutes. That first goal after quarter time wasn't what they wanted, but they've reacted well, and the ball is up there. They are having a chance.
Blood rule again.
Blood rule.
McKernan. No.
Damien Squire and McKernan. He's maybe got some on his jumper from the result of someone else's cut. And under the blood rule, if the jumper is in that condition, it must be replaced. And coming on for McKernan is Capuano. So they'll attend to Corey.
Yeah, talked about the jumpers, Matt. That is the Ansett Cup strip for Port Adelaide, the one they are wearing, the one they wore last week. Still 2 more in the wardrobe. We'll see them unveiled during the home and away season.
Gee, things have changed, haven't they, Robbo? Where you have 3 jumpers.
Oh,
and you have to take your own home and wash it.
Oh.
I noticed there's a lot of T-shirts out there in the crowd. I was there at Alberton Oval. That was the first match, was it, Bruce?
That was the T-shirt for last Friday,
Yeah,
Robbo.
yeah.
Unfortunately, Richmond failed to make it, so the date was just 1 day out.
I tell you what, you'd love to be in merchandising here in Adelaide.
Well, there were some very clever people who within a couple of hours had already printed on the back where the so-and-so was Richmond. Very, very clever. Anyway, back with the football. Here's a chance for the Power to go ahead. A quick kick round the corner by Dickey, but Anthony Rock drops back in front and takes the mark on the chest. He'll go to the outer side now through Longmire. Longmire too slow. Luckily gets around the tackle from Poole. Kicks out towards Anderson. Chasing him is Franco. Anderson will probably look for the boundary. Good pressure by Franco. He's going to make him work for this. Well done, Franco. Bond comes in to lend a hand. Gives it towards Heaver, but the handball is a bit sloppy. Heaver, the former Carlton player, gives it off to Franco. Franco, ill-directed handball. It's gone a bit messy now, and the umpire's going to have to do something about it, and he has.
It was good to see John Longmire there. Must be feeling confident. Took on a player there, so it's great to see him back.
And there are the T-shirts that I talked about. It's amazing, isn't it, eh?
They haven't taken them off.
Yeah, well, there's got to be a buck in it somewhere, I guess. Laidley for North Melbourne. His kick is high. He was hemmed in close to the boundary line. The ball spills. Brown off the ground. Couldn't quite clear the pack. Big Poole is in there again. I'm sure controlled aggression will be an advantage for his team. Primus's kick smothered off the boot over for a boundary throw-in.
See Darryl Poole there matched up with Mick Martin. A couple of guys very similar in style.
Yes, both very aggressive and very hard at the ball and very hard at the body. Shane Bond getting a lot of possessions in the half-forward line for the Power, doing very, very well. The throw-in, Capuano goes up by himself, goes straight through his hands. Clever tap out by Burgoyne towards Heaver. Going in there was Armstrong, but the kick will come out towards Carter, but getting in there, of course, is Rock. Rock kicks it up towards centre forward. One-on-one contest. Good ball there by Daniels from Danilchenko. Comes down to the front. Leading in the race to the ball is that new player, Brent Harvey. But Port will clear through Fegan. Fegan has a player upfield. It's Carter. Carter, if he can just pick it up, he'll be away. Good work there to try and lend a hand for him was the new player on the ground. And Carr, up goes Paul, can't mark. Comes out of Capuano. He's under pressure. Gets a clever kick away. Only as far as Heaver. Heaver looking for support. Back towards Braden Lyle. He's under pressure. He gives it up towards Donald Dickey. Dickey up forward. It goes to the outer side. Longmire will see it over the boundary and relieve the pressure from North Melbourne.
Well, struggling, the only thing to look forward, up forward for Port Adelaide seems to be Darryl Poole, and the trouble is he's got to be in the air, on the ground, using his body. So Darryl Poole probably looking for a bit of help.
Boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Port Power. Poole has the ball, gets the handball to Heaver, quickly onto his boot, but only as far as Wayne Schwass, who takes the mark in the left back pocket for the Kangaroos. His kick is good. He finds King. King running and then forced to kick high. Player just coming in quickly. The ball is on centre wing. Port Power there, strong. Lyle, hand pass over the top. Just a little, very, very average bounce there for Wilson. Now the chances with Heaver. Heaver runs away from centre wing. Kicks in towards half forward. High was Poole. Great grab. And surely this is the chance that the Port Power are looking for. The crowd are excited. Poole has the ball about 40 metres out and the chance to kick Power's first goal.
And the Port crowd, they do like Darryl Poole. A bit of a cult figure. There might be a couple coming out of this team. Donald Dickey, as Matt Campbell's already mentioned. But Darryl Poole, he's got the ponytail, he's got the aggressive style. I think he's got a lot of fans out there.
He's very much a crowd favourite, and when he missed out on the grand final in the SANFL last year, was the subject of a lot of controversy, but the Power fans are right behind him all the way.
He's actually missed 2 grand finals in the last 3 years.
Yes.
Not a good grand final record.
Well, let's hope that he can atone for that with a goal here, the first for the evening for Port. It's very close, but unfortunately, it's still not there. That's their 6th behind, so that equals 1 goal.
Didn't really approach that kick with a great deal of confidence, did he?
It sometimes happens, chaps are about 40 metres out. They only try to kick it 40 metres instead of trying to kick it the full length. They try to chip it up in the air. Anyway, Laidley will take the kick to himself and kick out towards the half-back flank. Out there was Blakey. Spills over the back towards Huskers. Huskers, who had it on a string in the first quarter. Back to Mead. Mead long up towards the forward line. Poole is there again. Treadray is there. Good punch by Martin, but it spills over the back. King in there to lend support for North. Taps it out in front of Stevens. Does it stay in? No, it doesn't. And another boundary throw in. But Port doing all the attacking, Bruce, at the moment. Not resulting on the scoreboard, but 1 or 2 quick goals, and this crowd could really come alive, and the momentum will be theirs.
You see the North Melbourne bench there. Full squad here. As you can tell, there's plenty of exertion out there. A lot of sweat, a lot of water going back in.
Number 42 just there for Port Power is a player by the name of Carr. Tom Carr, is it? He wasn't on the list of players that we were given, but he's on the ground for the Port Power at this stage. Boundary throw in. Poole doing the ruck work, trying to get through there unsuccessfully. Now Rock, tackled by Heaver. He's still got the football. Schwass tackled by Bond, and the umpire will call for a bounce.
Robbo, the crowd nearly willed the umpire there.
Nothing much really could be done there by either of the North Melbourne players, and the umpire saw it pretty well. Kicked away by Scott, little left foot kick. Port Power outnumber North Melbourne here. It's taken by Carter. Carter's little pass. Now Wilson off his left foot, high, in towards centre half forward. They're bombing away, and Poole's got it again.
He's get it this time.
Well, that's a great mark. Very strong in a pack of about 3 or 4 players.
That's his game. Strong, he is the up amongst them. Actually tried to catch it on his chest. Came down with it, Robbo, that's the key.
And at this level, I think that there's a certain amount of psychology involved. Both you guys have played this caper, and he's taking it right up to North Melbourne. And somewhere along the line, there may be just a little bit of doubt with the Kangaroos defenders, because this big man is certainly letting everyone know that he's on the ground. He's kicking from about 30 metres, and he looks as though he may have put this one through. No.
Oh, anti-climax there.
Well, the crowd went up anyway.
This crowd wanted a goal desperately, and so do the Port Power players. It'll be a sense of relief. But anyway, they're doing all the attacking, as I've said. They've now kicked 7 straight behinds. North Melbourne 4-2. The kick in ends up there with Rock. Rock off to the running Armstrong. Armstrong with his traditional left foot towards Danilchenko. Down in front, in the right spot there was Scholl. Scholl hooks around the body. It's 1-on-1 up forward. This could be a good mark to McKernan, but he kicks it out in front of himself. Feagert goes back, doesn't do what he wants to do. Gives McKernan a chance. A little dribble kick. I think he's kicked it. Corey McKernan, he's 6'6", and he's doing Peter Dacos style things up forward for North Melbourne. Terrific goal. His first for the evening. And Robbo, he is just a marvellous player.
Oh, he's a terrific player. He's got so much agility for a big man. Very, very talented.
I was going to say Nigel Feger seemed to do very well in the contest in the air, but when the ball hit the ground, 6'7" of Corey McKernan looked the goods. That's a very, very skillful
And
goal.
just to be smart enough and have the presence of mind not to just throw it any old how on his boot, size it up, little kick on the angle, and kick North Melbourne's 5th goal.
That's not what Port Adelaide needs at the moment.
5-2 to 7 behinds. Primus beaten for it by Capuano. Kick forward by Brown. Chance here for Port Power. Treadray in front. The Crummers really are not putting themselves in the right position. That surely is a free kick. A very poor tackle there by the Port Power forward. It may have been that player there, number 24, Damien Squire. Kicked away by Laidley, and the mark is taken by Stevens. The two number 10s, Stevens and Franco. The kick by Stevens finds King at centre half back. He's got a player running in support. It's Armstrong. He's been very, very constructive with his play, and that pass is quite precise to Danilchenko. Away there to Simpson. Simpson's kick towards full forward. McKernan again just runs Fegan inside out. Snapshot for goal by McKernan is offline, and the crowd giving a bit of a cheer. Didn't quite see what that was all about, but obviously a bit of excitement in the crowd.
Corey just ending up in the fence there, and just a bit of a jolt. So we see Scott Hodges there waiting for his turn, and so is this Port Power crowd to see Scott Hodges on the field. Short pass, Lyle Marks. Terrific off-field leader, one of the strong voices at the Power at training. Really has taken on his new role as a leader at the Power, and is doing a fine job. It was terrific last week against Richmond in the trial. Goes to the outer side, and a good mark there by Bond.
Well, having played enough AFL football now, I think he's got to stand up this year with Port Power.
That's what you find, Robbo. The players who have played 20 games, suddenly they're your senior players, and they do have to take that extra step.
Well, he's got enough ability, has Shane Bond. We've seen that.
I think Port Adelaide at the moment just have to watch out. That first goal is waiting to be kicked. The crowd is waiting, but you can't let that frustration overrule. We saw a silly free kick up forward before, and that just might be part of it.
Primus gets his left hand to it. Maybe a free kick has been awarded, so the advantage is with the Power. It's kicked forward for that team by Burgoyne, and the mark is taken by Lyle. Lyle is a long way from goal. He's perhaps 2 kicks, so he'll have to kick it high to the front of the square, which he does. In front, Longmire. Poole, the tackler. Stevens for North Melbourne. Brown grabbed, didn't quite have the football, I didn't think. Could have nearly got a free kick. But it's amazing how free kicks are just that little bit harder to get when you're attacking down there in the forward line, whereas in the middle of the ground, maybe the umpire is just a little bit more lenient.
Was that Brown showing a bit of experience there? I mean, to the naked eye, it looked as though he slipped and didn't pick it up. Was that deliberate, Bruce?
I think he was flat-footed there, Matt, and yeah, a little bit smart. Just missed the ball.
Quick bounce down, comes off hands to Burgoyne. He's hit the post. Oh, it just will not come. A quick kick round the pack. It was beautiful work. But unfortunately hitting the post, so the goal still doesn't come for the Power. That's their 8th behind.
Same number of scoring shots, man.
Trailing by 25 points at the moment. King will kick in for North. To the outer side. Paul drops back, does well, gets a nudge in the back from Capuano, and the umpire agrees.
Very clever. I think Darryl Poole has learned a bit about AFL bodywork very quickly.
You'd have to say, out of some of the players in the short time of the Port Power, Paul is really loving the AFL. Kicks it up there towards Allison, who's there in defence. Gives it back towards Longmire. Longmire on hands and knees. Here's a chance for the Power if they can just get hold of it. But it comes out to Rock. Rock off to Pike. Pike will try and clear to the outer side. Bond is there. Knocks it back towards Brown. Brown quick hands to Squire. His handball's a little bit fierce from Brewer. He couldn't pick it up. Tunnel ball there by Rock. Here's a chance now for the Power. Shane Bond has been terrific in the second quarter. Hooks around the body. A contest. They're looking for a mark, and they've got one, but it's from the wrong side. It's John Longmire.
Bear in mind, Matt, North Melbourne is a very good defence. They have played a lot of football together, a lot of successful football, so it is hard to penetrate.
They've just got to kick a goal.
See, that was well done. That's body to body with probably one of the biggest, strongest guys in the caper. Mead on Carey. Kick to half forward, punched away by Capuano. North Melbourne's defence is working terrific. Blakey with his first real clean possession in the game. Kicks towards the half-forward position. North Melbourne have the crumb gatherers. Armstrong overruns it. Good tackle applied there by Dickey. And the umpire will bounce. The North Melbourne player was Allison.
Just an indication, North are taking it serious. Jason Danilchenko there. He was caught behind and went for the punch on the half-forward line.
Allison in picture. Carey at the back. kicked away, taken for Port Power and kicked towards their centre-half forward position, but only one player there, and that's Matthew Capuano. He drops back and defends quite solidly for the Kangaroos. His kick is wide. Mark taken by Laidley. Laidley has a player on his own, Martin. He's got the facility now to be able to run forward and then kick towards half forward. Oh, great mark. That is really a very good mark. Running with the flight of the ball. Adam Simpson stands up under the pressure of Matthew Primus. He kicks towards full forward. That's nearly been marked there by Scholl. It's been paid. If it wasn't a mark, it may have been a free kick. So it is Scholl who will take the football. Number 15 for Port Adelaide is Michael Wilson. And the umpire will bring the ball back, and a shot at goal by Craig Scholl.
He certainly made him earn it. Michael Wilson made Craig Scholl earn it, but just nearly gave it away, didn't he?
I guess, you know, if you don't jump in there and try and put a little bit of physical presence into it, the coach goes and pulls you off the ground and says, you know, if he's going to mark it, make him damn well earn it.
Yes, and we saw Jack Carl down there on the ground, watching it from ground level rather than upstairs. Now, Craig Scholl now, kick two goals in the first quarter. Here's his shot at goal. It looks pretty good off the boot. It is. It's an easy goal for Craig Scholl. It's North Melbourne 6th. They lead 6-3 to Port, 8 behinds. And, well, it's coming soon, Bruce. It's coming soon, that first goal. But as we see the score there, North Melbourne doing it quite comfortably by 31 points in the second quarter.
Yes, that first goal for Port Adelaide, I think just if they can get that one, there's 2 or 3 not far behind it. The ball has been up forward most of the time of this second quarter, and they just need that breakthrough, Robert.
Bruce, interestingly, John Cale watches the game from the box, from the interchange bench.
I think he might spend some time up in the stand and towards the end of each quarter, as a lot of coaches do, just on the ground to see what's going on.
Fair enough.
Centre square infringement, and the free kick will be taken by Primus. Primus, I feel, has been terrific. He's been on top. He's the best big man on the ground in this first half. Over to Brown. Brown up forward, looking for the lead and finding Treadray. And that was beautifully played by Brown. Just, he was a little bit ahead of everyone else. Treadray knew he was going to get the kick from Primus. It was good thought there. And
there was a big space there too, Matt. I think the Port guys left that side, and that's where he was going to run. David Brown, the left foot, that's the only side he was ever going to go to. And
Brown shows experience. He knows Primus is a big, clever man. He knows he's on top, so he's just feeding off him all around the ground. Now, Treadray, he's had a couple of set shots already. Kicks from just on 50. Siren sounds. It'll be a nice one to go in at half-time with. It is! There it is! And listen to the crowd.
Well, if they don't walk into half-time now ready to play some more, I'm not sure what they need. That first goal, Matt, the crowd has risen. It's been a long time coming, and they're very happy with it. And I'm sure young Treadray, that's just the boost he needs.
Well, half-time here. North Melbourne 6-3, leading Port 1-8. 25 points is the margin. But Port will go into half-time feeling very, very confident, and they've now got their first goal.
Interestingly, David Brown, 69 games with the Crows. We have mentioned in both of the first quarter and the second quarter that some of the younger Port Power players just prepared maybe to give a hand pass off when a kick was necessary, kick it just anywhere when a bit of precision was necessary. And David Brown there had a look, delivered into a bit of space, and accordingly they get their first goal on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's good to see that handball thrown about. John Carl's game plans usually revolve around long kicking and a little handball, but they are throwing it around well, so it's good to see. Anyway, half-time. Port Adelaide do have their first goal, 1 goal late. They're 14 points. North Melbourne, 6-3, 39.
West End Outback Odyssey is entering its 6th year of fundraising, which during that time has greatly benefited the Sports Challenge Committee of the Cricket Association. The pleasing news is this year, for the first time, Port Adelaide, together with all 9 South Australian National Football League clubs, West End Outback Odyssey.
Glenn, is that looking better? He looks all right when he looks up. Glenn, what I was suggesting also was Caleb's on headsets down there on the boundary. He should get them to John, because John's able to run around and do things for you, like get curly. And also, John will need to go, John, whatever his name is, you know, the Canadian guy. He's just figuring out the cable, doing what the floor manager used to do. He'll need to go and tell the umpires to reinforce them. They have to wait for that flag before they bounce the ball. Hang on. Yeah, he's going down now. No, they didn't. Yeah, but seconds, it's not two beeps isn't 2 minutes. It's all ass about. It's all over the place. This break goes for 20 minutes. It's due to start, by my watch, I timed it at 1 minute to 9 we should be starting. And the next break at 3/4 time is a 6-minute turnaround. 2 beeps can be either 4 or 5 minutes. Now they had 3, that was 3 minutes. I said that to them, and they actually had the times written down there to the second, and it wasn't. I thought it was too, but it wasn't.
Glenn. Can you stop those player profiles? They just keep coming up. Are we going to have any or not? Okay. Hey? Meet the players back at Alberton tonight after the game, all members.
What are the scores? Everybody write the scores down? 6-3 to 1-8. 6-3, 1-8. Yeah, it's got the end. Can you hear me, John? Just wave. John, just wave upstairs. Don't put your hand over your mic when you talk. You're right. You got the mic down your mouth. Can anyone understand that? Get Shane to pass it on. He's on hard wire.
So Mark will just do his apprenticeship and then get it.
Yeah, tough. Oh, surprise. I knew that already. Stand up here like an idiot. No, I wasn't. Everyone was looking at me and I didn't have to do it. Shane, it was number 36. It was number 36 that umpire if you want to give him a hip and shoulder on the way out.
Yeah, that's a ripper, isn't it? You'd really love that to be a mascot. A phone.
Yeah, I think Port have just kicked their best half of the year.
So if they had a been here, they would
Jeff Morris. Specialist coach, something like that. Greg Phillips is defence coach. Craig Barnes out there, ruck coach.
Tiny coach lines.
They got more people on salary than the Crows.
Yep.
Okay, man. It's a pretty warm welcome after half-time with 1 goal on the board. Curls.
Yes, fellow worker.
How is it cool? Has it cooled down on the ground there?
Absolutely magnificent.
Oh, that's good because I'm losing about a kilogram a minute up here.
No, I'm looking for a coat, actually.
See the telephone behind you? Just knock it over, will you?
Press end.
Bigger than Texas, Curly, you are. You got your own show, 8:30 Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'll send you over a tape, Robbo.
You know the what do they have? They have an awards night.
Yeah.
You'll be there. Best new talent.
Yeah, yeah.
What? That was 1956.
No,
on TV.
bullshit, I'm plugging that.
Oh, dear.
Beautiful night. For anything except sitting in a commentary box. where
Sitting
it's
in a
48.
sauna. Yeah. Feel like Mick Dittman trying to make the weight.
Hey, Matty, you back on the drink yet?
Oh, I was in Brisbane the last couple of days.
Oh, you've broken down, haven't you?
Yeah.
I knew it couldn't last. What is that telephone doing?
Just thinking the same thing. What is he trying to achieve?
Imagine Toyota Chicken on the telephone going at it.
What is he trying to achieve by shadow boxing? Phones don't shadow box. Don't tell me they do.
There's a Vodafone, their home sponsor. They've still got another major sponsor to go.
Okay, who's coming off?
Welcome back to Football Park for the second half. Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne as we check the half-time score. Port Adelaide just 3 points in the first quarter. North Melbourne 3-1 at half-time. North Melbourne stretched it a little, 6-3. Port Adelaide got their first goal on the siren, the half-time siren there, 1 goal, 8. Let's cross down to Neil Curley on the boundary for the latest.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Well, conditions down here at the moment are absolutely perfect. The bite's going out of the sun, and the players are going to really enjoy this. And full marks to Port Adelaide. They've been outscored, but they haven't been outplayed. I thought in that particular quarter they would have had at least 65% of the ball in the forward line during that quarter. But North's defence is very, very strong. They're a good unit. They've been together for a long time. They know how to defend, and they did it very well. But Port, I think Johnny Carr will be very pleased with their endeavour.
So Primus to start the second half on the bench, and on the ball for Port Power was Mead. Went up high, tried to knock it forward for Poole, gathered by Martin. Armstrong under pressure, Poole again. Now Bond. Gee, put that Burgoyne under a bit of pressure. Lyle's little kick is good. And you can just see the experienced campaigners, Lyle, Brown, the players that have played a bit of AFL.
I do like Darryl Poole and Mick Martin. They're just loving it out there.
Just have a bit of a look before they kick the ball into the forward line. Brown's kick to full forward. Up high was Dickey, couldn't take it. Kick forward there for Port Power by Squire, and he's got the second goal. No, he hasn't, he's missed. Gee, there was a bit of excitement down at ground level, but Squire, left foot snap, just missing.
And Scott Hodges onto the ground for the Power, lining up in a forward pocket as the kick goes out towards the outer side. Dickey drops back, does enough to get it down. Paul decides to kick, kicks up towards full forward. Here's a charge, but dropping back and taking the mark is Anthony Rock.
Perfect example there of the kick in and just catching the Port forward line way out.
Rock finds Mick Martin, the veteran and cult figure at North Melbourne. Martin towards centre wing. Danilchenko's his target. Huskis wears him well. Ball spills to Bond, who's been very impressive. Over to Brown. Brown finds Wilson. Wilson is a left footer. He'll kick towards full forward again. Hodges finds himself out of position, and Martin Pike marks in front.
Well, it was a poor kick into the forward line, I thought, Matthew. Scott Hodges is the forward-making position. Surely the player kicking it has to have a bit of a look and give him a chance. Mead's hand pass goes back to Lyle. Lyle's able to get around onto his right foot and then kicks it with penetration in towards half-forward. Up high there was Treadray, couldn't take the mark, taken away by King. King's kick is back towards half-forward. The umpire sees a free kick being held, but he didn't have the ball. Huskis thought it was sort of one-on-one, but Danilchenko takes the free kick. He's on the forward, left-hand point of the square. His kick will land close to the goal square. Carey's mark, and he'll just quite simply kick a North Melbourne goal.
Yes, the experience of Wayne Carey there. He just outread about 3 Port Adelaide defenders there to take an easy mark. But the ball just raced in there. Adam Huskis, Matty, you watched him last week. A couple of times he did question the umpire. One time he in fact gave away 50 metres. You see Carey here
just reading it better than Downsborough, didn't he?
Yeah.
And makes it look so easy because, let's face it, for mere mortals it can't be, but for him it is sometimes. He just makes the football look so easy.
Just back to Huskis, Matty, last week, just questioned the umpire a couple of times. It's a bit difficult when you're on the half-back line to hold the game up and worry about something other than your opponent, isn't it?
Well, maybe it's a situation where he sees himself as being an experienced player and he's there to set an example for some of the new kids on the block, and he's just trying to demonstrate his seniority. I don't know. But there's been the bounce down and it hasn't gone far. Stevens gets up, has a few words to Brendan Lade. Welcome to AFL. Do you think he might have said, Robbo?
Brendan Lade. Well, I thought it was Mead that went for the ruck, but they look a little bit alike, short haircuts, so we'll watch Lade with anticipation.
As the ball comes out to Carter, Carter kicks up towards the 50-metre line. Squire is in front, can't mark, ball comes to ground, he's impeded, but umpire says play on, can't pick it up, met heavily there by Stevens, and another boundary throw-in will result.
Did everything right there, Matt. Put the body in front, kept the opponent out, left him on the ground. Unfortunately for North Melbourne, they had support there.
Squire, a half-forward flanker for North Adelaide in the SANFL, true half-forward flanker. Paul versus Martin, ball comes down towards Bond again, Paul using his body. Stevens throwing his body around a fair bit early in this third quarter as well. And another bounce
I reckon
down.
there's a case there for a player who does that sort of thing when there's no way known the ball's going to be cleared. The umpire should penalise him. I reckon that's just ridiculous, rushing in like that.
Well, Stevens is certainly fired up early in this second half and letting everyone know Franco takes it away. He has a marvellous first 5 or 10 metres, electrifying pace. Spills over the back, and the new ruckman on the ground, Brendan Lade, takes a mark. 45 metres out.
That's where they seem to struggle, Robbo.
Yeah, he should have a shot.
Maybe heard you, Robert, but it's just the other side of the post. And another behind to the power. That is their 10th. And they now go to 1-10, trailing North Melbourne at 7-3, 29 points the margin.
It's a lopsided scoreboard, isn't it? 11 shots to 10, but a lot of their shots have been from about 50 metres. So not getting any value.
Scoreboard not really indicative of the amount of the ball that Port Adelaide has had.
No, too true. Blakey's hand pass goes wide to Pike. Pike has a look and then kicks it long to half forward. Attempted punch away by Huskis was unsuccessful. A good mark taken by Danilchenko. Danilchenko quickly back and then kicks it towards full forward. Looking back there, the interference there by Mark Stevens, but play allowed to go on. Scholl gets it back to Anthony Stevens. His kick has been blocked. Kick off the ground there by, might have been Daniels, was it? For Port Power. And he finds the safety of the boundary line. Don't mind the look of him. He was outpointed early by Craig Scholl, but he's just been man on man and making it difficult for the North Melbourne forward ever since the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. Mark Roberts gets it away unselfishly to Crocker. He kicks in towards half forward. Good mark. Excellent mark to Adam Huskis. And I'm sure he's going to be value for Port Power. His kick finds Downsborough. Handball back to Huskis. Handball over the top to Brown. Brown, a bit of space. Kicks it over his right shoulder in towards the middle of the ground. Dickey, contest with Robert Scott. Nothing coming of that, so the umpire will bounce. It's on centre wing.
Good to see Ian Downsborough on the ground. Just had the first half on the bench. I'm sure he'll be a key, either a centre-half forward, centre-half back. Certainly big enough and certainly did enough of the West Coast Eagles last year.
There's the bounce on centre wing. Big thump away there by Martin. Up towards McKernan. He does likewise. And they've managed to carry it forward about 60 metres through 2 taps. The quick hands towards Danilchenko. Fumbles what he perhaps should have taken. Daniels dives on the ball. He'll attempt to hold it in the area, and he does. Well done, Stephen Daniels.
Very good play there.
And,
It probably typifies the Port squad. Young, tall, athletic, and they're being given a chance, and you're seeing a couple like Stephen Daniels coming through.
Well, he's obviously going to get some key defensive roles during the season. Perhaps needs to fill out a little bit with time because he's going to come up against some very strong players, but he's looking the good so far. Working hard in there and trying to get it out was Danilchenko. Brown, calm under pressure as usual, gives it up to Franco. Franco towards centre wing. Out there's a one-on-one contest. Blakey knocks it down on the second attempt to Bell. Bell quick hands to Scott. Scott up towards full forward. Dropping back was Lade, coming across McKernan. Here's a chance for Scholl, but he couldn't get a clean possession. Mead in there for Port. Matt Armstrong picks it up. Quick gift to Danilchenko. He's kicked it straight up in the air. It's not going to carry that far. There's 3 or 4 players. McKernan almost marks it. Spills out the back there to that player in Mark Stevens. And Stevens has kicked the goal. Well, I think that was a bit lucky there, Bruce.
Yeah, it didn't sort of come off the boot like it was fully intended, but it only had to go between the sticks.
It just seemed to be one of those ones that just spilled out the back. It was a nothing really contest when the ball was up in the air.
But North kept the pressure on. They kept the pressure on.
They've got 3 or 4 big blokes there, and eventually it was probably their 3rd or 4th in line big bloke, Mark Stevens, that kicked the goal.
Wouldn't you like to be a roving player on the North Melbourne forward line?
You'd have to get a chance at some stage of the game.
Well, at the moment, they've got McKernan, Danilchenko, Scholl, Pike. They're all there.
See Adam Huskus, he has left the ground back onto the bench.
Back in the centre, here's the chance now for Port to go ahead. Brown, over his head. Martin comes through. Trying to pick it up there was Bond. He can't. Taps it out towards going forward. If for North Melbourne was King. King up towards full forward again. Ball spills to ground. Stevens, the player who just kicked the goal, tried to kick another one. Well tackled by Downsborough. Here's a chance though for McKernan off the ground. And Corey McKernan again shows his great athletic ability. And another goal to Corey McKernan.
What do you do with the forward line? He's in the air competing, he's on the ground. We've seen him kick 2 very clever low soccer goals already. He really is, last year, the Brownlow Military should have been, without that report, suddenly he's looking at a big year to show someone, Robert.
I think he's just an absolutely sensational, he's a sensational young bloke too, Corey McKernan, but he's a great footballer. And in successive years, he was, well, just hard done by with the Norwich Rising Star Award, and certainly hard done by last year when he was reported for a misdemeanour that was a bit questionable. So North Melbourne forced the ball forward again from the ruck contest. Danilchenko swoops on it. His kick, a bit of an up and under, will land within scoring distance for North Melbourne. Great mark. Now that was a real good mark there by Downsborough. His kick is wide. Well done by Lyle. And Lyle has marked. He's just inside the defensive 50. Kicks it out and finds Brown. Brown is at right half back. So nothing really happening. There's no real loose players. He's going to be forced to kick long. And he kicks in the direction of Poole. At the back, is there an advantage here? There should be. There is. Franco, he summed it up nicely. He's kicked it in towards centre-half forward. But a good mark taken there by Capuano for North Melbourne. He's at centre-half back and he gives the hand pass away to Blakey. And Blakey goes down the ground.
Down towards the centre of ground. Danilchenko comes out to meet it, but it spills. Here's a chance for Port. It's a player going through there. Couldn't quite pick it up. In towards the goal square. And
was it Fegan? No, it wasn't Fegan.
No,
it was Tom Harley.
Tom Harley on the ground. Anyway, Capuano's marked and kicked it out there to Stevens. Mark Stevens on the defensive 50 towards centre wing. Laid back there for the power. Spills over the back towards Wilson. He's going to run it out of bounds, and he does. Just to relieve the pressure for a little while.
You get the feeling that there's just a little bit more pressure on the experienced Port Adelaide players. They really do have to put in a big game every week at this stage, don't they?
Well, someone like David Brown, who's getting many possessions, in and out of perhaps the Crow side, and now, I mean, Port Adelaide are really relying on Brown to be good every single week. He's become a real key player. Roberts, the quick handball to King. King with that pace that he's renowned for, up towards the centre-half forward position. Out there, knocking it out there is John Longmore, who's now up on the forward line. Dickey couldn't quite get possession and ends up with Danilchenko. Over to Bell. Bell from 35. Sets sail behind, kicks the goal. Peter Bell a goal.
He's the opportunist forward. He certainly wasn't going to handball over the last Port Adelaide defender's head, was he?
And North Melbourne looking quite dangerous at the moment, starting to break away. They now move to 10-3 as we see the The hands from Danilchenko. Bell under no pressure really, just a training run goal that.
Do you think he even thought about it?
No, I don't think so.
So we see North Melbourne just getting away from it at the moment. 10-3 to 110, 47 points. Back in the centre. Laid, Capuano, ball spills to Stevens. Stevens, quick kick around the body. Playing in front and getting it is Bell, the man who just kicked the goal. He's got a player, he decides to use the handball's not good enough. Armstrong is under pressure. Bell ends up with it again. His kick towards goal. Well, they made hard work of it, but in the end, the result is another goal.
Now, Matty, the handball, it wasn't a good one.
It wasn't a good one. It put Armstrong under extreme pressure.
But you'll notice that Bell got the ball back.
Are you saying he did it deliberately?
No, of course not.
I think he did well. I think he saw that his hand pass was ordinary and went back to give him a chop out.
Well, left foot there by Bell made it look easy in the end, but it wasn't.
Well, I'll tell you what, he wasn't going to play in an AFL Grand Final, a premiership team with the Western Australian side he represented, but he's now got a premiership medal hanging around his neck.
He certainly has. It's a marvellous thing as the Power crowd try to get the side back into this game. North Melbourne are kicking away, back in the middle. Armstrong is there. Quick hands, a bit too quick. Lyle read it very well. He's kicked up towards a player going back underneath it the wrong way. Good luck, it's Scott Matthews. He can't mark it. Nicky Martin will clear for North Melbourne. Up towards centre wing, but Braden Lyle is having a very good evening. Marks on centre wing.
Just crowded forward line. He's really got no one to kick to. He's probably going to have to go in the direction of Poole. He's looking perhaps to give it off. Now he goes towards half forward. Hodges couldn't quite take the mark. Opportunity now for Kingsley. That's Adam Kingsley. Back to Hodges. In turn to Brown. Brown off his left foot. Kicks it high. In towards the front of the goals. Where are the crumb gatherers? Poole is there. And he does well for a big man. Very difficult to break that tackle, but it comes back to Kingsley. Kingsley deep in the right forward pocket. Kicks across the face. Ball spills to that position. Well done! Oh, bad luck he couldn't get his boot to it there, Tom Harley. He read it nicely. He went after it. And he perhaps could have taken one more stride and he would have been in the square and could have nearly banged it through.
Well, he's announced himself, hasn't he, Tom Harley? He's just on the ground. He said, no, I'm going to play this game the way it should be played, but just couldn't quite get the kick away. But certainly pleasing signs for Jack Carl that one of his young players is prepared to attack the ball like that. The kick out towards centre wing. Matthews can't mark. Rock in two minds, pays the penalty for it. Here's a chance for Bond. Overruns it. Rock, beautiful handball there to Crocker. He had it out before he picked it up. Crocker's kick, he had no one up forward. Mead leads the race back for the ball for the Power. Meeting Longmire. Ball socket off the ground there by Bell. Out into the open spaces, but the umpire has seen a free kick behind the play. And it's going to North Melbourne for an infringement, and it's going again to Peter Bell.
He's had a purple patch, hasn't he?
Like the way Mead made the ball his object there.
Bell up towards full forward. And Mead again doing well, one-on-one with McKernan. Spills to Scholl, he's kicked three, doesn't attempt to have a shot, swings it back towards Danilchenko. He's in front, Harley can't do much with it, but Mead gets the handball out to Dickey. Dickey, can he relieve for the Power? Look for something up ahead, says, where are you? Find someone, but the ball goes over the back now. Here's a chance. That player is Tom Carr. Tom Carr swings back, looking for support and finds it. Braden Lyle. Lyle up towards the half-forward flank. Going back there and taking a very clever mark of Stevens.
Well, Stevens has been a goal kicker for North Melbourne already in this term, Mark Stevens. And he's defending across half-back. Bell's hand pass goes out to Brown. Nearly run down there by the North Melbourne player in McFarlane. Now it spills now for Squire. Squire's kick towards the forward pocket area. Taken by Treadray. Dispossessed, got a little punch away. That may have been deemed as throwing the ball, was it? No. It may have been out of bounds just before that. So Treadray, great initiation for a young man playing against Michael Martin, one of the real hard doers of AFL football. He's made himself a player, Michael Martin, coming up through the under-19s at North Melbourne. Brown tackled. Ball spills. Anthony Stevens may get a free kick. He looked to the umpire for it. And hello, boys. Football's back for 97.
Just watching Port Adelaide attack, they seem to be doing it along the boundaries because of the size of the North Melbourne team. They've got the ruckman back there at centre-half back. It's making it very hard for Port Adelaide to go the shortest way home.
Ball is in the middle. Blakey from a series of handballs from the Roberts mark towards centre half forward. McKernan is there. He couldn't get a clean mark. Harley cleans up for the power, kicks it high. Bond's going to have to go here. He can't. The spoil there comes down towards King. King picked up cleverly. He's got some options. He's got a short one in the middle, but he decides to kick across the ground. Over the back comes Donald Dickey.
Gee, you want to see more of this guy.
Oh, he takes a very good mark and kicks a long ball as Dickey goes up forward. Coming out to meet it was Treadray. In his way was Capuano. Matthews gives it off. Squire was caught on his wrong foot. Fridge, Roberts picks it up. Throws it onto the boot. Up towards the centre wing. Bella's there, but Wilson this time beats him to it. Goes long, looking for Treadray. Floats across. Paul is there. He can't mark. Yes, he can.
Been paid.
I thought he had enough of that. He certainly had to sit over the back there, but still had to beat two North Melbourne opponents. And they weren't small ones either.
I think he'd say you were generous, Bruce, if he watched a replay of that.
Oh, the Port Adelaide's coming out of him. You just never get rid of it, Robbo.
Well, this is a questionable distance for Darryl Paul, isn't it? He's had a couple of chances from around this area.
Well, I'm going to back him in.
But now we know he's in trouble.
Yeah, true. Darryl Paul has certainly made his presence felt this evening. He's really worked very, very hard at the centre half forward position. Chance of Port's second goal of the evening. Oh, I knew he'd kick it. Oh, well.
Matty, whatever horse I'm on, get off it.
And here's the mark again on replay. One on two, but had to sit. And, well, I don't think he had a lot of it. But then again, Robbo, if it was a volleyball game, he'd be paying possession if they were in Port jumpers. Have a look.
Kick in has been marked by Peter Bell. 69 plays 18. We're in the third quarter of this practice match between North Melbourne, the 1996 premiers, and Port Power, the new team in the AFL for season 1997. Kick by Burgoyne in towards centre half forward. Roberts tries to tap it clear as far as Blakey. Anderson tackled by Hodges. Ball spills to Anthony Stevens. Hand pass to no one in particular. Trying to dive on it there for North Melbourne was McFarlane. Goes in after it again. Tackled there by Squire. Now it's kicked out, but only as far as the middle of the ground. Very well done. Kick across the centre of the ground is marked by Wilson. Wilson spots a player. That's Lade. Lade has the football. He's between wing and centre half forward. He'll kick it to within scoring distance for the Port Power. The ball spills at the back. Well done. Terrific stuff there. Reading it off the back was number 23, Matthews, and he's kicked Port's second goal.
It was just the right timing, Robbo. North Melbourne seemed to be just running away early in the third quarter, but Port Adelaide, they stuck at it. The ball has been in the forward line for the last couple of minutes, and they've been rewarded. So you see the ball go over the back. That's just well read and a little bit of luck.
Matthew Capuano there, though, floated into the right spot, had his name written on that, and, well, Cardinal rule of defender, don't let the ball go over the back.
Well,
perhaps Matthew should have taken.
That's been Port's problem.
11-3 to 2-12. Port get their second goal. They now trail by 45 points. Back in the centre, Lade. This time wins it. Brown reads it beautifully. Set play there. Kicks it up forward, but only as far as Anderson. He drops what he should have taken. Port a chance again. Ball ends up with Squire. He's a natural left footer. Goes onto it now. Kicks up towards a one-on-one contest. It's their Port favourite, Scott Hodges. What's he going to do? Can he get possession? No. Pike decides I'll take the easy way out. Safety first. And a boundary behind, sorry, the result. They're 13th behind the Power.
Their third rush behind.
I'm sure they'd like to see the 13 and 2 round the other way, but that's another day. Kick in comes to Rock. Rock has some run there by Blakey. Blakey direct down the middle of the ground. Danilchenko drops back and takes a good mark. Thinks about it. Finally decides for the second option in Scholl. Scholl up forward, and Downsborough perhaps should have gone for the mark there. Worried a bit about Longmire. Oh, well, Byron Pickett on the ground straight away. Umpire has said,
I think it's a free kick against Longmire.
Back to Downsborough?
Yep.
But just a trial, they're certainly having a go.
Downsborough goes short and finds that player there in Kingsley. Kingsley. Oh, poor kick there has ended up with Crocker. Crocker, short pass. Coming out to meet it was Longmire. Can't quite get possession. Mead relieves for the Power, looking for the safety of the boundary line and finds it. Clever kick.
Darren Mead's impressed me. Physically, he's probably not as big as a couple of these guys, but he's had a shot against the AFL opponents. He's got Longmire, Carey, and he seems to be handling it very well strength-wise.
Well, it's a great experience for even North Melbourne's young players as well as Port Power's players that haven't played at this level. Simpson it is for North Melbourne to kick them into attack, but a good mark taken back there. Oops, be careful. That could be taken off you, Nigel Pagan. Not, that isn't him, is it? It's Tom Harley, is it? Tom Harley for the Port Power. Kicks it high towards centre wing. No mark taken. Scott can't break clear. Bit of a contest there between David King and his teammate for the football. So they're pretty keen, the North Melbourne boys, Adam Simpson. And the umpire will bounce. It's on centre wing. Lade and Capuano. Lade has the front posse. Tries to get it down, nearly to Brown. Pretty good. Dickey. Handball wasn't too bad actually in the finish. Squires kick towards half forward. Not marked by Anderson. Play on. Good contest provided. This time by Squire. Couldn't quite work out who it was that kicked it up there. But Squire did well in that situation. He knew he was in a bit of strife, but he battled on manfully to keep the ball at half forward for Port.
They've got it in their attacking zone again. They've only managed 2. And that sort of sounded like someone sat on the siren button, really. Ah, there it is there. 3/4 time here, and Jack Carr walks out looking, well, I don't think he'd be that unhappy. I'm sure it is not on the scoreboard at the moment, but the endeavour has been terrific by the Power. And after a short period of time there, Robbo, when North got 3 or 4 goals, they came right back at them.
I think all they've got to do is just understand that they can play at this level, be a little bit more confident, be confident in carrying the ball, be confident in trying to set plays up, instead of, on a lot of occasions, maybe just kicking it anywhere towards their goal.
Yeah, I think so. You're right, Robbo. It's just the approach has been wonderful by Port Adelaide and Jack Woodby.
Rose? Is that a veterinary surgeon?
A vet.
A vet?
Christian Barnard.
Dr. Christian Barnard.
Oh dear, that's coming from the other side of the divided town, isn't it?
No, Robbo. I hope they win. But don't show me you can win by 80 points against Essendon 1 week and get rolled by Footscray the week after.
Yeah.
How long we got, Bruce?
Welcome back to Football Park. Not good news for Port Adelaide fans. We see only 2 goals 13. North Melbourne 11-3. Quickly down to Neil Curley for the 3/4 time boundary report.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. John Cale has asked his players for a super effort this quarter. He really wants to try and get some goals on the board, to give the fans a bit of confidence. Bad news for North with Archer. He's got a badly bruised thigh, and Swass has got a badly bruised calf, and Huskers has a badly bruised hip for Port Adelaide. But John Cale's demanding a very strong, hard quarter this one.
Well, they've done well in the ruck, but haven't quite been able to take it away efficiently from the centre. They've forced it forward as far as the centre half forward position. Number 42 there is Tom Carr for Port Power, and the umpire will call for a bounce. John Blakey. Carey starting on the interchange bench for North Melbourne at the start of the last term. Now, he really hasn't overexerted himself, Wayne Carey. David King to Anthony Stevens. Stevens kick across the half-back line, gives Laidley the chance. The chaser is Squire. Setting it up there was Longmire. Laidley under a bit of pressure. Anthony Stevens goes over to help out, but his kick is ill-directed. It's out on the full, so the free kick will be taken by Matthews, who kicked a very, very good goal for the Port Power during that 3rd quarter. Matthews, just a young man by the look of him. He's kicking towards the half-forward area. At the back, Martin. Quite fierce at the football for the Port Power there. Was it not Squire? Was it Steinberger? Number 34 it could have been. Blonde-haired boy. Just come off the bench. And talking of the bench, that is some of the players for the Port Power presently warming it. Striving hard to force it forward. It's close to the line and it will be taken over. Scott Hodges there for Port Power. Michael Martin looking for the free kick. He must have seen something that I didn't see, and he has scrounged a free kick and he's giving it back to his teammate.
See, John Cale can't be too bothered with the scoreline. You see David Brown on the bench, Matthew Primus for all of the 3rd quarter. So I think he's just rotating his players, giving them all a taste.
Terrific mark by Lade. He's 55 metres from goal. He kicks to the front of the square. There's a push out allowed by Longmire. Maybe the umpire saw it just as a body-to-body, and Johnny Longmire has the football.
It's great to see John Longmire out there. He's had a bit at the full-back in the 1st half and full forward in the 3rd quarter. But I think he's just getting a little bit of confidence out there, which is exactly what he needs after such a long time off with that knee reconstruction.
Blakey's kicking towards the middle of the ground. There's Dickey. Dickey gets the handball down. Lyle picks it up, looking for some options. Sees one in the middle, but he's put his teammate under pressure. Good presence of mind. Taps it down to Daniels. Daniels taps it to Dickey. They're trying to get some clear possession here as the player Carter kicks it off the ground. Well, they made hard work, but did very well by improvisation. Quick kick there by Harley. Up to forward. Here's a chance for the Power, but coming through beautifully there for North Melbourne was McFarlane. Sam McFarlane clears back towards the centre of the ground. Laid the big man. Can't take the mark. Tap forward by Stevens towards Stevens. Comes out there to Kingsley. His kick is smothered. Good work there by North Melbourne. Mead, quick kick up in the air. It's pretty scrappy at the moment. No one can get a real clear possession or get some free-flowing football going. Here's a chance there for that player in Harvey. Handball's over to Bell. Bell on the left boot, up forward. Coming out to meet it there and not getting it though is Crocker. Crocker was with Downs, but Wilson under pressure gets ridden to the ground. Free kick, Michael Wilson. Perhaps a 50, no, decides, no, I'm not going to muck around, I'll play on. Out towards the grandstand side. Out, beautiful kick, finds Kingsley. Kingsley runs forward. One-on-one contest on the half-forward flank. Experience there from Laidley, and just showing his experience, just pushing the ball to the boundary. And it'll be a boundary throw-in.
He's a hard competitor, Dean Laidley. experience there, as you said.
The junkyard dog, as
Must
he's
wonder,
called.
they've come out against a very young, very inexperienced Port Adelaide.
But they're learning every couple of minutes as the... now, Robbo, I'm just a big... that really annoys me in
He's
rugby.
driving it straight back
When you
over
just
the
knock it back.
boundary line. I'm sure it annoys a lot of people watching.
Would that
both
qualify?
here
Would it qualify as deliberate?
I don't think so.
Well, technically it is, but
Yeah, but
it's part of the game. As the ball ends up there with Kingsley, round the body, up forward. Matthews goes for a bit of a jump in midair. Martin marks and plays on. Has King, premiership player from last year, chips it up towards Stevens. A prime mover in the North Melbourne side. Stevens takes a bounce, kicks up towards Scholl. They're going to keep the movement going, but it hasn't come off for them. Port, good pressure, read it very well. Carter in there for Port. Franco also. And then just a bit of a scuffle there. And umpire said, Stephen Carter, they shouldn't do that to him, you can have it. Hands off to Kingsley, young fella, has been very impressive in the practice matches. Up forward, Poole is there, spills over the back. Poole comes out to meet the North Melbourne player there. Laidley gives it off to Longmire to Blakey. He will kick long, he always does. Again, it's another 60-metre kick. Danilchenko will provide some assistance, but it's punched away by Harley.
Well
Good
done.
hands by Kingsley to Lade. Brewer seemed to be in a trance there, Brewer didn't know what was going on. They've still got the numbers though, the power. Lade with an ugly looking kick, goes up forward, but Paul marks it. Well, it doesn't really matter how you get it there.
Another good pass, Matt.
No.
I think one thing Darryl Poole has shown that he needs a big key defender to tie him down. He's had Mick Martin, we've had John Longmire on him. You need one of the big players from the other team to look after him.
Well, he's had a few set shots, and I've given him a couple of reps so far, Bruce, so I'm not to say anything. But surely this is
It's a
his
little
best
bit close
opportunity
this time,
so
Matt.
far.
Go on, you can't be wrong all the time, Matthew.
All right, he's going to kick it. He's going to kick it. Oh, lovely work.
At last he's heard you.
Darryl Poole kicks his first in the evening. He's been very impressive, providing the contest.
And a popular result with the crowd.
And I think for Port Power's immediate future, it's important that they play the remaining 10 or 12 minutes without allowing North Melbourne to just run all the way away with it. I thought maybe at about quarter time that 14 goals to 7 at the end wouldn't be such a bad result. So the next 10 or 12 minutes important.
Back in the centre. 69 plays 31, 38 points the difference. Port with their third for the evening. Capuano down to Stevens. Stevens quick kick out of the middle. Out there is the other Stevens. He does well. Gets a clever handball off to Scott. Scott kicks up towards full forward. Coming out to meet it well is Craig Scholl. And presented himself nicely in front there as Wayne Carey. Just, you're right, Robbo. He's just taking it very easy there.
He hasn't even got a sweater. Bit of a smile.
Do you think he gets appearance money like Tiger Woods?
Well, he hasn't shot the 68, 69 that Tiger shot, that's for sure.
Well, this is exactly what Port Adelaide didn't want. Craig Scholl, he very, very rarely misses.
Craig Scholl, he's fourth for the evening. And you can see the Port Power crowd didn't move, so that would mean it's a goal.
As Robbo was saying, Port Adelaide would be happy if they could have a 14-7 goal scoreline at this stage, and they just need a couple on the trot, don't they? Just to give them that little lift in the last quarter. They've certainly got the legs, they're young enough, they're fit enough, and perhaps North Melbourne just might back off that little bit, knowing the game's in the bag now.
75 plays 31. North Melbourne 12-3 to 3 goals 13. Lyle feeds the hand pass out. Kick forward by Kingsley. He's been good enough so far since he's been on the ground to indicate that he can be of some value to Port Power. The kick out wide taken by Robert Scott. Scott's kick to half forward, clears both players in that area. Hand pass came out from number 29 for North Melbourne, which was Brent Harvey. The kick forward has been marked by Scholl.
And just in that instance there, 3 players coming out for North Melbourne, all in front. The first lead and the ball went over the back and Harvey got it. And then the second lead further up the ground, we see Scholl taking that mark there in front a lot earlier when the ball's further down the ground. So perhaps a little bit of experience, Bruce.
They might be doing exactly what Robbo hoped they would for the Port Adelaide side.
Yeah, well, Craig Scholl, he's a fairly reliable kick for goal, and he's put this straight through the centre. He's kicked 5. So So Craig Scholl, very much the leading goal scorer on the ground. He's kicked 5, Peter Bell has kicked 2, Corey McKernan has kicked 2, and North Melbourne lead 13-3. Inverted, Port Melbourne 3-13.
Port Adelaide, Robbo, you're in South Australia now. You see Nigel Feagert back on the ground, a great first half.
Ball is back in the centre. And North Melbourne doing well. Lade against Capuano. Lade wins it well. Franco there for Port, gets away, kicks it inside 50, coming out to meet it but stopping, but there's Martin. Martin can't pick it up. Working hard is Hodges. Kicked up the ground is clever football, ends up back in the middle. Here's a chance for North to go ahead once more. Up towards centre forward, but coming out is, I'm very impressed with this young chap, Tom Harley. Harley handballs to the runner, Feagert. Feagert, as Bruce said, back on the ground, straight into the action immediately. Good kick finds Kingsley. He's got some space. In fact, that's not Kingsley. Ball's back up towards the centre. Mick Martin caught. Squire can't get a clear kick.
And Matt, you mentioned Nigel Feagert is back on the ground. He's gone straight up on Craig Scholl. So Jack Carr a little bit keen to stop that goal glut up there at the moment.
That player before was Eagleton, Nathan Eagleton, just on the ground, getting his first touch. 30 metres out from the power goal. Bounce down. Poole against Capuano. Capuano with the height advantage. Taps it to the advantage of Pike. Pike will switch sides and go to the run of Longmire. Good work there by North Melbourne. They read that very well. Handball on there to the player in McFarlane. Sam McFarlane. New player to the side. Kicks it up towards and finding Stevens. Doesn't quite mark it. Mead gives it back towards Harley. Then there is Carr. Carr ends up with Carter. Looking for some time by kicking it towards the boundary line and finding it. And just relieving the pressure so they can all get settled and pick up their responsible teammates.
Craig Scholl, 5 goals, Robbo, and he's on the bench next to Wayne Carey now, just having another breather as well.
Yeah, I think North Melbourne can see this as a bit of a chance to try out a few of the younger fellas at this tempo, so why not? Franco couldn't get past. Hand pass, finishes with Bell. Bell's high kick, 1-on-1, and a good strong mark is taken for North Melbourne by Evan Hewitt. So a player that North Melbourne fans may not have seen very much of. And now he's been penalised. He tried to recover his position after kicking into the man on the mark, and now he's been penalised for throwing the ball. Yeah, just his first touch for the game, and obviously a little bit nervous there, but I'm sure there's plenty more to come. Downsworth's kick goes up forward, and once again, Darryl Poole with a strong mark. So he won't be intimidated, will he, that guy?
Too strong for Longmire there, just pushed him out there, and kicks it up forward, and Stephen Carter's dropped down from the half-back line, finds himself on the forward line. And Bruce Carter played many games for Port Adelaide last year in the forward line, so he's it's a part of the ground he's very accustomed to.
Well, it was last week, Matty, he came down from the half-back line to kick a goal. He's down there again. A half-back player with $1 a game is a very big bonus. And he has kicked it. The crowd are cheering for that, and also Darryl Poole has come off the ground. Port Adelaide's 4th goal there. 4 goals, 13, still trailing North Melbourne 13-3. As Stephen Carter makes the long run all the way back to the half-back line.
Now, the guy who's taken his place, I mean, Poole has done reasonably well. As the chap that's taken his place, an inexperienced person, I didn't quite pick up the number.
Well, Treadray came on and went to the back line.
I've seen Downsborough head to centre-half forward. So
13-3 North, Port 4-13. 44 points the margin. Back in the centre. Again, Capuano and Lade. Lade's been winning the knocks, but as Robbo mentioned earlier, they can't seem to get clear possession out of the centre. Knocked forward by Stevens is clever, but Carter, who just kicked the goal, decides to kick it off the ground to relieve the pressure. Out there is Bond. He leads in the race for the ball from McFarlane. Did that very well, very casually, but always very cool. Around the body, but Anderson is there in the right spot for North, and spoils.
I'll tell you something about both the Bonds, Troy Bond and Shane Bond. They continually try to kick around the corner. Why? With their pace they've got, it's just not emphasised on them enough to straighten up and use their pace to break it up and kick directly towards centre-half forward.
They could use that to break through a line.
Yeah. Boundary throw in, Capuano gets his left hand to it. The umpire's seen an infringement in the ruck, and it's going against Capuano. Well, you quite wonder, don't you? If one man is a bit stronger than the other, good luck to him. Downsborough has got the football, he goes short, And the mark is taken here by Adam Kingsley. Very much a look-alike. Adam Kingsley and Eagleton. He goes short. That's not all that good, but it's still at centre-half forward for Port Power. Working hard underneath that was Eagleton. Couldn't do much with it, so the umpire will bounce.
Robbo, you're talking about the bonds. Carter, just a couple of times tonight, he's kicked it out of the air. I'd just like to see him take with his hands perhaps a little bit more. Just increase the chance of exactly where the ball's going.
I'm sure this videotape and the videotape from last week will be used overtime by John Cale. Martin Pike does well. Gets it across here to number 19. I think it may have been McFarlane. I'm not sure there. This mark has been taken certainly by Treadray. He runs away. Handball. Taking it back was Fegat. He's kicked a half forward. Chance very well done by Squire. Gets it back now. And the kick forward by Kingsley is another goal to Port Power. So well done there. Persistence.
He's certainly looked the part out there, hasn't he?
Well, that 14 goals to 7 scoreline's not going to be too far away.
Oh, Robbo.
Well, it's 13 to 5 now, isn't it?
Put the crystal ball away.
But just looking at that goal, and a lot of the young players that are now on the ground for Power, fitting in quite well. 43 plays 81. Port get their 5th. Robbo thinks it's going to finish on 14-7. He said that during the second quarter. But some of the Port Power young fellas are doing quite well. Kingsley looks the goods. Bounce down in the centre again. This time Capuano. Kingsley, the man we just spoke of, was in the right spot immediately, and the umpires rewarded him for going at the ball hard.
What was most impressive about Kingsley was his poise. Just to pause, dodge around someone, straighten up.
Adam Kingsley. The run from another youngster in Tom Harley. Harley kicks it up forward. Laid caught unawares there. Wasn't sure whether to go or not. And Anderson takes the mark. Breaks across the ground. Looking for Scholl. Coming across late was Brewer. Kicked off the ground by King just before Brewer got there. King having trouble picking it up. Eventually does. Doesn't get much assistance from his teammates. They let him do it by himself.
Put some pressure on the Port boys.
Brewer. Steinburner. Short pass. Hodges just can't mark. He's still yet to get a mark in his couple of games for the Power. Longmire. Sidestep. Across the ground. Saw an option out wide. Out there is McFarlane. McFarlane. Around the body, but in front was Harley. Mark dropped what he should have taken.
And fell over too, Matthew.
Ball goes up forward. He's going to pay the penalty, I think. No, Crocker's perhaps let him off. Fegat back there with him. He's going to find the boundary.
Very well done again.
And did well.
There's plenty in this videotape to use.
And I think just not from the coaching staff's point of view, Robbo, but from the personal individual's point of view.
Robbo, what about the Melbourne teams? They'd be chasing Port Adelaide vision.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, each one of them have got to play Port Power, and the 4 points, you just can't take any team too easily.
And being a whole new team, a whole new set of players.
Exactly.
A new style.
Eagleton has the ball out in front of him. Swings back onto the left.
Like the look of him too.
Up towards centre forward. Coming out to meet it there was Matthews. Couldn't mark. Squire. He's done a few good, useful things. Squire on his half-forward flank. Pass on the wrong foot towards Hodges. Can't quite get it. Here's Bond. Bond steps around someone easily.
Now straighten up.
And Robbo, you've done it beautifully, but this time he's managed to kick it straight to John Longmire.
If he straightens up and runs 2 metres, Matthew, nearly kicks a goal.
Well, he almost dodged the invisible man there. He's looking for some pressure that wasn't on. But anyway, North Melbourne will clear now. Anderson towards Brett Allison. Brett Allison marks half-back flank.
Short kick by Allison to the favour of Stevens in front of Mead, and it's Mark Stevens who's taken the mark for North Melbourne. Mark Stevens, who kicked a goal in the 3rd quarter. He's kicking towards centre-half forward, covers the players there. Now it's taken here by Carter. Handballs back to Treadray. Treadray's kick is just a little astray, and it's taken by McFarlane. He gets the hand pass to Scholl. Scholl's kick is straight towards goal. Big trouble here for Port Power. The ball rebounds from Pickett. Crocker's left foot snap. Looks pretty good. Darren Crocker's kicked a goal for the Kangaroos. So very good player, Darren Crocker, and he's another maligned player as far as North Melbourne is concerned. He's had a lot of injuries over the years, and it's great to see him in his late 20s being able to string some games together for the Kangaroos.
They're a very capable team, Robbo. A number of players can step up and kick goals at any time. Of course, you have the Careys and the McKernans and the superstars, but behind them are a very good batch of players.
My word.
North Melbourne by 44 points once again. Back in the centre, Capuano, the bounce favours him. Quick kick out of the centre is the team instructions. Coming through to meet it there was Wilson. Wilson gives it back to Kingsley. Kingsley, a little bit slow that time, but he's getting another chance to put some pressure on. Keeps his feet, well done. Coming through there and trying to pick it up there also was a Treadray. Peter Bell's back on the ground. Gives it back into Denilchenko. Quick hands, the old 1-2 to Bell, and finds Stevens. Now Stevens will have a shot from here. Kicks from 48, but he's off target this time, and misses perhaps one he should have got.
Kingsley there, I was impressed the way he kept his feet. When you're on the ground, you're no good to anyone, and he managed to slide, stay on his feet, and still remain worthwhile and involved in the play.
Yes, Kingsley been impressive since he's been on. Nigel Fegart clears for the power to the outer side, looking for Mead. Mead against Stevens. Stevens recovers the first, kicks it back towards Fegart. He's got 2 to beat. There is Crocker. Ball comes to ground. Well done, Nigel Fegart. Punches it clear. Here's a chance for Steinberner. Gives it out to Lade. Lade to the outer side wing. Coming out there was Downsborough. Goes over his head. Here's a chance to clear for Anderson. Bond is chasing him. The 2 number 5s. Puts the pressure on him. Will he look for the boundary? He does. But good pressure there by Bond, attempting to keep the ball in the area. 45 points the margin. Seems to have hovered about that for quite a while now. And it'll be Capuano against Downsborough. Roberts perhaps over the back. No. Ball comes to ground. Martin Pike up towards centre wing. In front, Carter takes a good mark.
He's played a fair game.
He has, right from the start.
Stephen
They're very
Carter.
impressed with a couple of Port defenders. They seem to mesh very well together. Carter, Fegart, Wilson.
Carter goes forward. Capuano. Another one he perhaps set himself for, Robbo, and didn't quite take.
And just in that situation with Stephen Carter, maybe someone running in support for a hand pass over the top. It's just a little bit too predictable when you go back from half back and just kick it straight up in the air to half forward.
And the back playing ruckman just sits there waiting for
and
it.
punches it away. So they'll be prepared to take some risks at some stage. Bell running away from half back. He's kicked. Did that go far enough? The umpire blew the whistle for a mark. Allison, very good hands. Bell sets it up. Pickett over the top. Too far. Well done here for Port Power by Wilson. And Carter, you mentioned Bruce. I think he looked as though he's going to try and hack that out of mid-air again. It's a high kick that's been knocked over the line by Roberts. And well done. He got 3 votes for that mark, the man in the outer.
Wilson there, good approach.
John Carter
Took on
the
3 or
bench.
4.
Game coming to a close, but well, they're playing against the premiers, and the margin's 45 points. Layden Stevens comes to Allison. Working hard there was Franco. Kick up in the air, anyone's mark. Have to wait a long time. Ball comes down the ground. Pike is there. Socket forward. Blakey, quick kick, heads it back that way. Stevens swings onto his natural left foot. Up forward, looking for the other Stevens. Coming out was Crocker. Fegart right with him. Ends up with McFarlane under pressure. Allison can't take possession. Fegart, who seems to be in everything involved in the Port defence at the moment, and has done a fine job in holding it up once more. Only young fella, Robbo Fegart.
So I guess from this game, Port Power, they can probably get a lot of satisfaction out of their defence holding North Melbourne to 14 goals, but they certainly have to work on their forward line.
Well, that's the final siren here for the practice game between North Melbourne and Port. It's North Melbourne who have run out victors 14-4, 88 to Port 5-13-43. That margin stayed around 45 points. But all in all, Robbo, 18 scoring shots apiece.
Well, I think Port, perhaps early doors, Matthew, when they kicked all those behinds, quite a few rush behinds, just needed the confidence builder of maybe converting 1 or 2 of those into goals to go into half-time with something like 4 goals instead of, I think they were maybe just 1 goal something. But certainly they can get something out of this, a lot of confidence out of certain parts of their game. Down on the boundary line, Neil Curley has John Cale.
Yeah, thanks very much, Robert. Well, Jack, forget the scoreboard. You know, you knew it was going to be a tough game. It was that, but gee, a lot to learn tonight for those players of yours.
Well, it was great, Curls. You know, it's better than words to be able to send the young players out there and play against a polished team as North Melbourne are. And their fluent movement going forward was very slick. You know, ours wasn't. In 5 weeks' time, we'll improve a lot. But to play against a polished team like that was good experience for our youngies.
That was the big difference. I saw it. I thought the commitment was about even, but their movement of the ball and their awareness of players around them, that was spot on.
Well, they've been brought up together for a long time, and then it's like Port Adelaide, I suppose, from old times. You just instinctively know where each other are, and some of their handball was very slick, but our guys will improve, and if we just steadied a bit in front of goals and converted some of those, we would have got close. I mean, we would never have beat them tonight, but it was a good effort, and, you know, I would have liked to have just got a fraction closer. That's all, girls.
Well done, Jack.
Good on you.
Catching you here.
Thanks.
Back to you, boys.